Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome to the version 3 of the text tutorial. You guys have all been waiting like 6 months for this. It means so much that literally every video, whether it's Fortnite or text or a speed art, always gets this request. When are you making the V3 text tutorial? It's finally here. Took me 6 months, but I wanted to kind of combine like the style of the old one with the 3D text with some cool abstract kind of look, and I don't know, something different but familiar enough to where you can still use it in the same way you used the old one, and where it was still simple for the people who like the original text tutorial to go ahead and kind of get like a refresh or an updated version, like see it in a different kind of light for different type of uses. But I want to thank you guys all so much for 6,000 subscribers, and in total 300,000 views on both the text tutorials. One of them has 255,000, so it's obviously carrying, but that's insane to me, guys. 6,600 subscribers and 300,000 views within 2 videos, and close to like 500,000 total channel views. It means so much, and I know I don't upload very regularly, but I hope this can make it up. I'm going to be trying to push out tutorials a lot sooner and make a lot more of them because you guys really enjoy them. And I think it's really cool that if you search up text tutorial, mine is the first one that comes up. So enjoy. Alright, hey everybody, and welcome back to the 3rd installment of the text tutorial series on this channel. This is probably the most requested video I've ever gotten on this channel. 255,000 views on the original text tutorial. I want to thank you guys all so much for that. Literally, when you search up Photoshop text tutorial, mine normally comes up first, and I've tested this on multiple devices. As well as 6,600 subscribers means so much, because when I first uploaded that video, I think I was at like 2,000. So that video alone has carried this channel for so long, because it continues to grow and actually gets like 3,000 views a day. This time around, you see we have like broken up letters, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make text like this. So we're going to break this down, show you guys how to make it. And I am going to be like very clear from the start saying this. One major complaint on both text tutorials, right, and like this is like split 50-50, is that a lot of people say my English is very clear and that it's really easy to understand, and a lot of other people say that I go really fast, that they don't understand at all. So for the people that had that complaint on the first text tutorial, that's just my way of doing things. That's my way of teaching things. If you don't understand it, just pause the video at each step. I'm going to be trying my best to slow it down this time, but I also don't want the video to be 20 minutes like the second text tutorial was. So we're just going to get this one started. And let's get straight into this. So, first of all, we're going to be starting out the same exact way you start out any text tutorial. Just write the text you want to. Alright, so we got our text. We're going to just upscale it a bit. Depending on your name, you know, you can change it however you want. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is straight up choose a color that you want. For my text, I'm going to make it red. You can obviously change this later, but it just makes it easier when you are applying all the gradients and other effects. But very similarly to the first text tutorial, you want to make sure you separate all the letters apart. So go ahead and grab the polygonal lasso tool. It's the 3rd tool down from the top. If you don't have it, click on window. Oh, this is it. Yeah, just reset your essentials and it should pop back up. If it doesn't, I don't know how to help you there, but there are a lot of people saying that it doesn't appear for them, and I had that bug when I first reset my PC. But you want to basically cut out every letter. Right, so select it and then click Control X or Command X if you're on Mac. And you just want to go through this for each letter. Alright, once you've done that, now we're going to go on to the kind of making this look cool and broken up like this one. So you see on this one we have kind of the words, or the letters themselves are kind of split into half and kind of thrown around in different chunks and pieces. So basically, this part of the tutorial is very trial and error, and there is no like set way that I've found will look the best. Basically, the way I do it is I'll make a lot of just cuts splitting the letter at first. So like with the letter Z, I'll split it into 2 halves, right? There we go. Just move it over a little bit. And then, right, so that'll be good for certain letters. But then now you see we have 2 letters that end up looking the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it again. And now this is the part of the tutorial that's all personal preference. So you can cut your letters up as much as you want. for me, I wouldn't recommend doing like too much and like breaking it into like 8 different sections, because then it kind of gets hard to read what the original letter was. But you know, you want to break it up so it doesn't look too messy, because you still want to be able to tell that that is a Z, and you can. So for me, I'm just gonna be moving around these, trying to get all the lines like the same space, basically. Like the space in between these, I want them to look even, because if you see, if I was to move this like that, now that looks weird. I want it to be, you're still able to tell that it is a Z. So this part of the tutorial, like I was saying, is very like what you want your text to look like. And for me, something that helps is trying to envision it in my head, right? Like I'll basically, this isn't gonna be the same for everybody, but I'll know that I want probably this section up here to overlap the 7, right? So you kind of think about it like that, right? Like if you have a bunch of different flying pieces. And so as you cut up the letters, don't forget to group them, right? You can do this by shift clicking the parts, then holding shift and clicking on the folder icon, and then just name that to the letter. So now I'm just going to go through the other letters and kind of follow up what I'm doing. Now remember, you don't have to split up every single letter. Not every letter needs to have this. Not every letter needs to be split up. Like I was saying, it's all personal preference, and that's why it's really hard to teach this part, because depending on the name you choose, the letters will look different, so you'll want to split up the word differently. So this is where all your creativity comes through, and where you want to not rely on the tutorial as much, but just choose your own pattern that you feel looks cool. Alright guys, so now once you've gotten all your letters kind of chopped up like this, and you kind of like the way they're looking, you know, with the lines between them and kind of broken up, now you want to take each individual piece of the letter, right? Hold shift on all the pieces, and then hold shift again and click on the folder icon, so you can just keep track of the letters in an easier way. Alright, now that's the part of the tutorial that should be pretty familiar to you guys, because in all of my tutorials it's gone the same exact way. I'm going to slow it down though this time and explain it a little bit better, because this is a complaint in the other ones. Alright, so hold Control J to duplicate it, right? And then use your arrow keys to move it in the direction you want. So if I want to move the copy up, I'll click the up arrow key to move it up 1 pixel. And you just want to continue to do that. Control J up, Control J up, Control J up, Control J up, Control J up. Continue to do that. That's something a lot of people, it's not that hard to understand, but a lot of people in the past text tutorials haven't gotten that, and they've complained that I didn't say that right. And then we have people in the comments attack them because it's easy to understand. But so for slants like this that are going inward, the letter on the outside, right? So like this section out here, this part that I just outlined, you'd want that one going down, right? So basically you want to, when you are duplicating and making the object 3D, you want it to go in the direction that you cut. So since this slant is facing down, we want this to go down and to the left. So you do that by Control J, down arrow, and right and left arrow. Now once you've done that, click the layer under it, hold shift and click onto the first layer, then use the hue and saturation tool to bring down the darkness so you have that. Now you see it looks darker. And you just want to go ahead and do this for each section. Now obviously, like I said again, this is where you want to be very, like, this will be trial and error, because you want it to look natural and you want it to look cool at the same time, right? So now you see the slant, the diagonal slant. Since that part of the letter is going down, we're going to send this part of the letter upward, right? We don't want them going in the same direction. It's going to look weird. So once again, Control J, up arrow, right arrow, Control J, up arrow, right arrow. And then you select the layer under it, go all the way back to the first layer, click on this, go to hue and saturation, and just darken it. Now you see what we've got there. We've kind of split the S into 2 different sections. It looks pretty cool. And basically you want to go ahead and continue to do this for everything. With the E, it's a little bit different, right? So when you split a letter into 3 parts, now you want it to explode in all 3 directions, right? So this top section is going to explode upward. This one's going to go to the left, and this one's going to go down. So for this, you're going to Control J to the left, Control J to the left, Control J to the left, and continue doing that. So basically, that's what you want to do for all the rest of the letters, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, now in the instance like this, where you see it's kind of harder to tell that it's a P now because of the way we cut it, now I'm just going to be moving around this section of the P just to make it look a little closer, like just moving it a little closer so you can still tell it's a P. This is something you can do if you find out that the letters like aren't looking exactly how you'd want them to. Right, so you see now I fixed it, you can obviously tell it's a P now. Like when I first cut it though and started making it 3D, I was like, that section looks like an I. So that's why I did that. But like, that's just all personal preference, like I was saying once again. A lot of this text tutorial is really how you think the cuts look the best. If you guys do need help with it though, I can always help. And you can also just take a look at like the way I'm cutting the different letters and kind of take inspiration from that to which letters you want to cut. For me, letters that are perfectly symmetrical, like an H or an S or a Z or O, I'll always split down the middle or split on the slant of the S or the Z. 3D. Now this is the part of the tutorial where we get the text to look really cool. So first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and go to our first letter. We're going to right click on it, go to blending options, and we are going to add a gradient overlay. Make it black and white. Select overlay, lower the opacity to like 30 or 40. I'm gonna go 40 this time. Then we're gonna click on inner shadow. We're gonna also set that to overlay, the opacity to 100. The angle, we're gonna set that to 39, right? And make sure it's on global light so it just applies to everything automatically. And here's where you can mess with the distance yourself. You could just make this normal if that's what you want. I normally go with color dodge or overlay just because it'll make it look more natural, and just keep everything else on set to 0. You then go to inner glow, set that to color dodge. You want to make that opacity around 50 because you don't want these colors to like be exact, because then it's gonna look really weird. You can just lower your size or increase it depending on how much. I set mine to I believe it was at 18. We're gonna keep it at 18, so set yours 18, choke at 0, opacity 50, and set the blend mode to color dodge. Click OK, and then we're going to copy this layer style. We're going to apply it to everything. So, boom. Doesn't look super cool yet. Actually, wait. I actually have a better idea. So now we're going to copy. Alright. Now we're going to copy that layer style. We're going to apply it to the folder, so it just automatically applies it to everything. And you can actually end up clearing it. Alright, so now we're going to copy that layer style. We're going to go ahead and apply it to everything inside the folder. And then we're just going to continue to do that for everything else. We're just going to apply it to every layer here. Don't apply it to the actual folder. Apply it only to the layers inside the folders. So to the individual pieces of the letters. Alright, so now you see what we've got here. Text is looking pretty cool. It has like some outlines and lighting on one side of it. Now we want to go to our first letter and do exactly what we did in our first text tutorial, right? So the end letters, we want to bring those to the top. So this S and the 7, the letters on the edges of the word, we want to bring those to the top and make those the biggest ones. We're going to move those, kind of rotate them in the same direction. And the letters after that, so the E and the 7, we then want to be next up. We're going to rotate those the opposite way. We're going to move those to be more inward and to be smaller. And then the P and the H, those are already last out. You can make one smaller or you can make them bigger. These are the letters that really can kind of bring it all together. So we're going to make the H smaller. and the P bigger, and then we're going to want to bring the 7 and the Z over. Now we've done that, we have to merge all these pieces together, right? So we want this part of the S to move together. We want this part of the S to move together, because now we're going to be customizing everything, right? So now you want to go ahead and find the letter that you want to drag under a different one, right? So this top section of the S, we're going to move under the layer E, right? And then now we're going to make a new layer. We're going to hold Alt and go in between the two layers until you get this white box with the arrow going down. Click that, and then now we're going to use a black brush to give it shadows, right? Pretty familiar if you watched the first text tutorial. We're going to take this underlying part of the S, and now we're going to go position that where we want, and we're going to do the same exact thing, right? We're going to create a new layer above the E, hold Alt until we get the white box with the arrow going down, click it, then now we're going to shade over the E, right? Boom. So now you have the letter kind of broken up, and then now you can kind of rotate the broken parts, right? To, I guess, like even further add more shadows to it. But for this, right, you can just rotate the letter and then add more shadow to it, right? Kind of adding even more personality and look to it. So now this gets really complicated because you have all these different parts to each different letter, right? Like this E has a few different parts to it, right? So this part, the middle part, we're gonna move this further out a little bit. Then we're gonna go ahead and take this part of the E. We're actually gonna drag it underneath the P, right? And then we also have to drag the S under that, so we keep that over it. We're gonna drag that underneath the P, and then we're gonna shade over that, right? So we're basically jumbling up the letters now, but you want to keep them close enough to where you can still read it. This can get like very complicated, but basically that's really, this is where it starts getting like, you start mixing up a lot of different words and letters, and this is where you want to be the most careful at. So the P we're going to keep the same, and now we're just going to go to the H, add a new layer, and we're just going to continue adding the shadows in over the different sections. Cooler effects that you see make the text end up looking from this to something like that. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to go ahead and click hue saturation, and we're going to change the color, right? Because now we want to make this like double toned, right? Now I'm going to choose this purple color. We're going to go ahead and click on this white box, make sure your color is set to black, and erase, just like erase the top, right? And of course, now we're going to go to brightness and contrast and just kind of darken it and then add more contrast to it. And now we have a two-toned, then I'm going to go into filter, distort, and zigzag, and put your amount, right? So first thing you want to do is zoom out, put your amount on 10, and put the amount of ridges on 5. So now, using this, we're going to duplicate it again, go to filter, distort, displace. Now this is the part of where you're going to have to go around and started warping the image. You can find your own displacement map somewhere in packs from older designers. Just go ahead and go on YouTube, search up displacement map. You will need one for this. And basically this makes the text look very warped and rippled up like this. Now we want these ripples all going in one direction, right? And so I think it looks cool that it's going like downward and to the right, like on this. So we're going to erase everything opposite of that, right? Anything that's not doing that, we're going to erase, right? And obviously it comes with practice, right? Like I'm going to be probably going over this section a couple different times. Different words actually end up looking cooler, right? Like in my opinion, the tutorial word looks a lot cooler just because the way the font makes it look like the R stretches out really far. So your font is going to change the way your distortion looks. In my opinion, my name is never really the best for any text, but we're going to merge all those layers. We're going to click transform. We're going to go to warp, click bulge. We're going to drag this inward, And then I'm going to squeeze this in so my name doesn't look as flat. Now we're going to go back into blending options. So right click on the layer, add another gradient overlay, and another inner glow. Right, the settings are going to stay the same. Oh, was this just at 50? Alright, now what we're going to do is click on camera raw filter. We're just going to wait for this to load. Alright, now essentially we're just going to be adjusting this, right, because I feel like the shadows on this aren't enough, right? So we're going to want to darken those parts. We're going to lower the shadows. Contrast, we're going to raise it up. Exposure, we're going to lower. Then we're going to up the saturation. Click OK. You can see the change that's had on it. It looks really cool now. And then now we're going to go to filter gallery and add a film grain and a cutout, right? So my settings for film grain are 3, 6, and 0. And for cutout are, and there we go. Basically, that's how it'll end up looking. That's how your text end up looking. Pretty cool in my opinion. If I do say so myself, I think this is definitely way better than the original text tutorial. And I hope it's lived up to the hype of all of you guys. I know it was pretty complicated just because so much of this is personal preference and how you think the text should look and the different parts of it that you want broken up. But I hope I did a good enough job explaining of what to do once you have made those decisions on your own. That's pretty much it. The text tutorial v3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I hope I did a good enough job explaining. I haven't done this in a while. But if you did enjoy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me at PXLSF on Twitter. I'll see you guys all next time. Peace.